All right, thanks everyone for joining today to our GrowthLoop live session on I Want to Go Fast, how NASCAR launches personalized audiences in under 1 minute. I'm Anthony Rotio. I'm the Chief Data Strategy Officer here at GrowthLoop, and I'm joined by Damian and Michelene today. Damian and Michelene, could you go ahead and introduce yourselves?
Sure, thanks for having me today. Damian Arbuckle, Senior Director of Consumer Intelligence here at NASCAR.
Yeah, thanks for having me as well. Michelene Rabbitt, I am the Industry Principal for Sports and Music at Snowflake.
Awesome. We're really excited to dive in and walk you through today. And what we'll be covering, I wanted to start with a quick agenda. First, Damian will walk us through the NASCAR data stack journey and going from that to step 2, consolidating a single view of the fan, then activating personalized campaigns in minutes, hence the I Want to Go Fast title. And then lastly, I'll walk us through a little bit of where we're going with the generative AI loop. And Michelene will be supporting with a lot of great context from our partners at Snowflake, and we'll be excited to walk you through each of these steps today. So let's start with stage 1, the NASCAR data stack journey. Damian, if you could walk us through here, I think that would be great for the audience to hear a little bit about where you started and kind of where you've gotten to today with the journey.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate you having me to be able to show off all the cool things that we've been working on over the last couple of years with GrowthLoop and Snowflake. So really excited to get this out and show everybody all the successes that we've had so far. But wanted to go back to a few years ago where we had this concept of being able to being able to target audiences in a very quick manner. So we race almost every weekend throughout the year. There's always some new storylines that go on. We have many different races, which you'll see here in a second. So being able to activate what happens on track throughout the week to our customers and being able to build that 360 fan view, which you'll see here in a little bit. But most of our problems were having multitude of tracks, all this different silo data, and not being able to take advantage in a quick manner. Lots of coding was involved. It wasn't able to be scaled to a high amount of audiences. And we're really losing that personalized touch when targeting our fans. And so as you'll see here on the next slide, we have about 12 different premier racetracks around the country. We've added a few more over the years, and we have a few new events next year as well. But you can see we work with tracks all across the country. We have over 100 different events. And I think my job is pretty unique because I technically work for NASCAR, but we also own these 12 tracks. So it's kind of working like with the league and also owning 12 franchises at the same time. There's always something new and something important that we want to talk about through either our brands at the track or the brands at the overall level. We also have more than just NASCAR races too. We have our Rolex 24 race here in Daytona. In January, we have Bike Week in Daytona. There's a lot of different ancillary events that happens at our tracks as well. So we want to make sure that we're targeting folks with the most up-to-date messaging when the sees fit. And so if you go to the next slide here, you'll see all the different areas where we kind of had siloed data, right? So we have at least 30 different drivers racing at a time, if not more. Again, we had our 12 premier facilities. There's 100 different races and events that happen at our tracks. All of our tracks had their own ticketing data and merchandise data, as well as different marketing channels and different tools that they were using. So we set out to kind of build and accomplish this 360 fan view here. So if you don't mind going to the next slide and seeing again kind of how this all laid out, seeing where all of our different campaigns were happening, and they were all very siloed to each track. Our email and SMS messaging wasn't adding up. Our website personalization or paid advertising, there was just a lot of different messages happening, and it wasn't a unified message across the board. So we wanted to figure out, again, how do we get that right message to the right person at the right time?
And Damian, if just if I could jump in here as a fan who's been to the Daytona 500, previously prior to starting to work with you all a few years ago, and just thinking about the scale of some of these events, like you think about the scale of the silos and the challenges of actually trying to target a single fan across all of these, but then you multiply that by tens of thousands or even 100,000 plus folks for a weekend at some of these events, times every track, times every single event at the tracks. It really gets to be a pretty extraordinary challenge to kind of keep the messaging personalized and cohesive across channels to each of the fans.
Yes, absolutely. And there's so many unique aspects at each track as well. Not every track is the same. If you go to Daytona, it's a 2.5 mile super speedway. We have our short tracks at Richmond, Martinsville. It's different types of racing at our different tracks as well. So again, we wanted to make sure we're offering the right messaging to folks. And so where we had some of our problems again is decreased campaign velocity. There was a lot of hours of coding being involved. There's a lot of human error that's involved as well. So people could be getting the wrong message. I talked about this earlier, but there's no single view of the customer. We weren't able to see who's going to Daytona, who's going to Richmond. Are people traveling from further away at certain tracks? Inconsistent messaging was definitely one of our biggest problems. The folks would be getting hit with mixed messaging, whether it was through our email platforms, phone calls, and then lack of personalization and making sure that message, whether if you have kids in your household, making sure it's a youth message. If you're in college, military, making sure you're getting hit with those discounts, as well as personalizing it. If you told us your favorite driver was Kyle Busch, we don't want to be sending you a Denny Hamlin message. We want to make sure it has Kyle Busch on there, right? So really, again, personalizing that message and being kind of that one-to-one touch point. And I'll pass it over to Michelene to take us through stage 2.
Thanks, Damian. Today, I'm excited to talk about one of the key ways that Snowflake drives value for sports customers, and that's by helping them build out robust and accurate unified profiles of their fans. To start off, though, I think it would be helpful to share a little bit of context on what Snowflake is. Snowflake launched back in 2012, initially as the first cloud-native data warehouse. Including because of our approach to separate compute from storage, we quickly became known as being kind of one of the warehouse solutions that was really easy to use, fast, and had highly secure qualities. In 2019, Snowflake began to roll out our platform capabilities. Our goal was simple. We wanted to enable customers to be able to take action on their data without having to move it, regardless of where it was stored or in what format it was in. And from there, really kind of naturally, the AI Data Cloud for Sports was formed. And what that is, it's essentially our platform capabilities plus our sports customers on the platform and their data, as well as our great marketplace partners such as GrowthLoop. So through the AI Sports Data Cloud, Snowflake customers are able to collaborate with their ecosystem partners as well as marketplace partners in order to generate the most value for fans and in order to impact their business objectives. We all know that a sports fan's journey is incredibly fragmented, and the touch points only continue to increase. So it's that much more important that in order for a sports organization to be successful with their fans, that they're really pulling all of the data across all of these sources together in order to kind of impact the journey for the fan kind of most effectively. So some of the ways that kind of this collaboration kind of comes to life, we'll see on the sports media side. In terms of they're leveraging kind of their partner ecosystem on Snowflake to be able to better understand fandom so that they can leverage that, those fandom insights, for example, from their league partners to know, kind of how to personalize tune-in messaging or other content promotion, or even how to, appropriately kind of impact sponsor messaging in some of those engagements. On the league and team side, we're seeing this come to life in a couple of different ways. So number one, leagues are helping their member teams basically build out their fan profiles with data that is only being accessed at the league, such as national broadcaster data. Leagues are also collecting data directly from teams in order to help kind of aggregate insights, develop best practices to empower their member teams to more effectively sell tickets, sell sponsorships, and just overall kind of engage fans more effectively. On the sponsor and agency side, we're seeing things like sponsors leveraging their media partners and their league partners to better understand team fandom, player affiliation, in order to make sure that they're personalizing sponsorship campaigns effectively. And then they're also using Snowflake basically to pull performance reporting together to make sure that across channels they have a good unified view of how campaigns are performing. And then the last piece of the puzzle, the Snowflake Marketplace. So from there, you've got your unified profile of the fan, and really you're leveraging the marketplace and great partners like GrowthLoop to be able to activate on those profiles. All right, so that takes us to, you're probably wondering, why is Snowflake differentiated in terms of being, kind of a best-in-class solution for unifying fan data. So one key aspect is our interoperable storage. Interoperable storage is what puts nearly all your data at your fingertips. This is critical to making machine learning models more accurate, insights more actionable, and data applications so much more powerful. Snowflake's platform allows you to access and process structured, semi-structured, and unstructured data together at practically any volume. So no more silos of data depending upon the data type or delays in getting access to the data you need when you need it. With all that data together, Snowflake also provides unique automations and optimizations to keep your data fast, efficient, and secure at scale. This means you can trust your data is secured and governed with capabilities such as encryption by default. Built-in storage compression lets you store all your data cheaper just by bringing it to Snowflake. And with our unique always-on micro-partitioning, you get fast access to data even at petabyte scale. And finally, for most customers, there's no one-size-fits-all model when it comes to architecting data for your business. So whether you're looking to deploy a data lake, data warehouse, etc., Snowflake's flexibility allows you to constantly adapt to whatever best suits your business needs. Plus, with interoperability to connect with data on premises or stored in open table formats such as Apache Iceberg, you can extend the value of the AI Sports Data Cloud and Snowflake's platform to your entire database.
That flexibility and interoperability is key, and something that NASCAR humbly taught GrowthLoop when we came to NASCAR as a partner. One of the first meetings I'll never forget. Hearing, you work with a lot of the sticks and ball sports, and 80% of the things you do may carry over, but you need to learn about the gap 20% too. And I think the first example of that was when Damian or someone on the team was talking about a camping use case, which I know we'll get into later. And we said camping isn't something we have with any of our other sports partners today. So flexibility, especially within sports and working with NASCAR, has been hugely important for our work together across NASCAR and Snowflake.
All right, so another kind of differentiator for Snowflake is SnowGrid. So SnowGrid is essentially kind of what unlocks data sharing, which is, really redefining the way that data is accessed and leveraged by organizations. So in the past, to collaborate on data, we all know you had to move it across environments. You would have to grab files from FTP servers, scrape APIs, use ETL tools, or set up different data marts to grant teams access to data. These data pipelines were costly and time-consuming to build and maintain. It was unsecure because once your data moved, it was out of your control and data was delayed by design. Snowflake is fundamentally different. SnowGrid eliminates the complexity of data sharing and accelerates collaboration across your team and ecosystem. So first, SnowGrid allows you to share live, ready-to-query data without any ETL or copies. With on-demand fulfillment, data is available across cloud and region when you need it. Second, SnowGrid provides robust governance, providing direct access to data and models to streamline the AI ML lifecycle. You remain in the driver's seat, all puns intended, with the ability to control who can discover your offering, enabling you to decide if you want to share data or models with other teams in your account or partners or to any company within the AI Sports Data Cloud via the Snowflake Marketplace. And then third, SnowGrid allows you to share not only data, but also applications that install directly into your account. So you don't have to integrate and move data to get value from SaaS applications. And this is really like a bird's eye view of kind of how all of this comes to life. So in terms of just kind of the use cases that these capabilities enable, these are some of the key things that we're seeing. So on the product and CX side, as you're, optimizing your website and your app experiences, these capabilities are being leveraged to create personalized highlight recommendations, personalized content experiences overall, customizable experiences, especially when it comes to streaming, right? You want to enable more ability for your viewers to be able to choose things like camera angles and alternate commentary, all based again on personal preference. And then of course on the sportsbook side, even down to just setting odds and lines. On the marketing side, and this is obviously why we love our great partnership with GrowthLoop, the ability to create segmented audiences, to create personalization at the fan level as well, both in terms of which channels are activated, which offers are put in front of any given fan, and then also, of course, to hit go on those campaigns. And so to be able to launch and activate through our partners on the platform, as well as to be able to measure those campaigns and know what's working and what's not across channels and optimize efficiently.
Awesome. Thanks, Michelene, for that walkthrough on Snowflake. And really want to go into is this 360 fan view. And what Michelene talked about a little bit too, and saw in a couple of slides ago, was that The ability to have this unstructured and structured data coming into one warehouse and being able to, again, seeing that full view of the customer has really been key for us. I looked this morning, we're already at over 60 different data sources flowing into our data warehouse. And I was on a meeting last week and we identified at least 20 to 25 more. So we've gone from having very structured data in some of our data sources, but plenty of that data has been very unstructured. To be able to kind of clean that and bring that in has been very beneficial for us. And what we've worked on with Snowflake, again, is building this 360 fan view. So we're able to see who's interacting with our emails, our SMS platforms, visiting our websites, talking with us over the phones, and certainly multiple different journeys as well, which we'll get into here in a second. So it leads me into stage 3 of this presentation, and want to talk more about how we're activating our personalized campaigns in minutes. And so what you'll see here within this stage is that all of our journeys and our messaging is now kind of unified and again, being that right message to the right person at the right time. And being able to do this across all of our different destinations, whether that's our email and SMS platforms, our CRM platforms, and again, our website personalization, making sure that that right message and it's a unified message across the board to our fans. In doing that, you can see how easy it is using GrowthLoop and being able to build out different audiences. So I believe on the next slide here, we should have a little walkthrough of how easy it is to build out an audience. So easily, you can just go ahead and name your audience, whichever name you would like. And then you can start out here with the basics. We have, I want to say, at least 200 different data points that we are able to segment on, if not more. There's quite a lot in there for our users to segment and build that appropriate audience. You can see here, this is just a simple one of getting anybody that's from the state of New York. So having all 12 tracks around the country, we have people from all 50 states, a multitude of countries, being able to kind of exclude and include those folks, looking at, again, their merchandise behavior, their email behaviors, and really honing in on certain active groups that we want to target.
Yeah, I think one of the things that has been most helpful for that acceleration you're talking about, Damian, is the fact that now that you've been building that customer and fan 360 in Snowflake, when you plug GrowthLoop into it, right, just because of the architecture where it plugs into what you've built already on Snowflake versus sending that data off somewhere else to like a third party CDP or a marketing cloud, because it plugs in directly, it allows the marketers to actually use the columns and the data that the data team is actually providing within Snowflake, and it can be updated as fast as they're adding new data sources. So on that 61st data source, or that new unstructured data that's landing more, in a more structured way in a table somewhere, as soon as that's available in Snowflake, it's available to the marketers to use in these campaigns and personalization fields for their segments and for their campaigns as well. That's been fun to bring to life at NASCAR.
And yes, you see here on this next slide with the cross-channel journeys, having that data kind of flow real time. And what we've talked about in the past too is having kind of this endless loop of being able to use the data that's in Snowflake, building out an audience, sending that across to, let's say, our email platform, and then having that email data flow right back in Snowflake, which then allows us to go ahead and segment to see, okay, who's clicked on certain emails, who's clicked on certain links, and being able to then push those folks across to different platforms as well, whether that's targeting them through our social channels, being able to target them with our outbound team through our CRM. It's kind of that endless loop of just having that almost real-time data of being able to activate on that across our different channels. And just wanted to walk through kind of our NASCAR fan lifecycle. It's kind of my shameless plug, but if you go and provide your email address to us on one of our websites, you'll start flowing through some of these journeys that we've had built out. And our first bit here is just our welcome series. So if you're brand new to our database, I think this is common in a lot of companies, but we want to welcome you right to the track, and depending on what information we may already have on you, depends on kind of your next touch points, as well as how you interact with some of the messaging that we have. So depending on what you've interacted with on our websites, what you've interacted through our email platforms, we're able to kind of see whether you're ready to buy and you'll move right to our sales series, or maybe you're not providing those buyer behaviors. and you'll be pushed right into our nurturing series. So again, you have to learn more about the track. There's a lot that's going on at our tracks too. Again, it is a unique sporting event. If you haven't been to a NASCAR race and you get to go, you'll see it's a lot different than just our stick and ball sports. And depending on how you interact with these series, hopefully you make a purchase with us. And depending on what you purchase, we'll send you through a post-purchase journey. We have tons of different unique inventories and rewards that people are able to use depending on how much money they buy with us. We can then go through the event happens and we go through our renewal series. So we'll try to get you to come out to the event next year, as well as help grow your fan interest. So we have, again, that I talked about that NASCAR brand side of things, but having our fan rewards, our NASCAR app, merchandise, fantasy, you name it, we have it, and being able to present it and get you to interact more than just with the track.
I think the sophistication of where NASCAR is in terms of its life cycle marketing is fairly remarkable. Now that they've kind of unlocked some of these, these capabilities that seem like superpowers to the marketers, is you think not about just kind of spraying and praying a campaign on one channel and hoping that there's a reaction from the fans, which is what we've seen done for different teams, leagues, customers in different industries when we first start working with them. But to be able, if you heard what Damian described there, it's really like a two-way value communication across all channels, right? It's not like a push down campaign to customers. It's more of a, hey, we want to teach you things about the tracks. We want to engage with you. We want to drive value. There's certain rewards, right? And offers and things. So it's about driving value for the fan, and in turn, hopefully driving value back for NASCAR as well through that value added communication that's ongoing throughout the fan life cycle. I think is a fairly sophisticated way to think about communicating with your fans. It's unlocked by applying some of these technologies like Snowflake and GrowthLoop in the way that NASCAR has been able to apply them.
That's such a great point, because I think for some time, fans were maybe more comfortable with just offering their data. And now they're kind of at this point where the expectation is, I've given you my data. Now, what are you going to give me back? And they're expecting those really personalized contextual experiences based on their own individual fandom. And so with GrowthLoop Solutions, it's so great that you guys can enable activation and give fans reasons to share even more data moving forward.
Yes, we definitely are interested in learning more about our fans, and it helps us personalize that message moving forward. If we don't have, if we have very limited data on you, you're going to get hit with an ad. You're going to be wondering why you got hit with that ad. And we want to make sure that we're moving forward and having these personalized messages. And you can see here through some of our use cases, we have certain different camping use cases. I've talked a little bit about our post-purchase journey, our fan connections with our drivers. If you think about our drivers, it's kind of like having your favorite team moving forward. If you're, again, a Kyle Busch fan, you're going to want more messaging and more information about Kyle Busch. You may not want to hear about certain other drivers. And then that's really where we see the affinity with our sport is with our drivers. And then also having certain venue-specific ticket packages as well. As I talked about earlier, our venues are completely different depending on how big the venue is. There's certainly a lot more things to do and being able to showcase some of those unique ticket packages. Some of the personalization messages that you may get here, depending on, again, what you buy and how you interact with us. If we believe that you are an avid camper, if you're interested in our camping inventory, you'll certainly get a lot of camping message from us. I believe that really is a unique aspect to our sport. And people come out and will camp either with inside the track or outside the track and be there for days, if not weeks. So we want to make sure that we're providing you certain camping inventories and seeing what's available, as well as depending on what you purchase with us, helping to get you to upgrade whatever ticket or package that you've purchased and making sure you get all the unique access that we have. A lot of our tracks have our different infields, which allows you to go beyond the track before the race. Very cool, unique aspect, I think, to our sport is actually being able to sign the start finishing line ahead of time, being there just a few hours before cars are on track and are racing at hundreds of miles an hour. And just for our last couple of personalization messages, again, I talked about that affinity with our drivers. We have our new event next year in Mexico City. and wanting to be able to kind of promote that to certain fans, and making sure that we have, again, the right driver on that messaging for those fans, as well as those unique ticket packages that we have at our venues. Some of our drivers are available for these Q&As where you get kind of more of a personalized up close view with the driver, being able to answer or ask him any questions that you have. And it's right before a race, right before he's able to go out and have competition and have the adrenaline flowing. You're kind of able to get interact with our drivers. And again, we want to make sure that you're having that appropriate message moving forward. So I'll pass it over to Anthony to take us through stage 4.
Awesome. So let's talk through stage 4 a little bit. And we're very excited to talk through something that we just launched last week, which is the loop here at GrowthLoop. And Damian talked through step 1 and a little bit of step 2 within the loop. Step 1 is building audiences and activating them across all of your channels. And obviously that produces more data as well, right? In terms of the response rates, the click-through rates, the view rates, right, across different channels, and obviously internal sales data about transactions, like on those camping packages, on those infield upgrades, on all the different ticket purchases that are happening across the tracks. And we have an insights component in the application now for this step 2, where you can understand what's happening across all of your marketing touch points and combine that back with the actual internal sales data that you have as an organization. This is something that, when I was at a Fortune 500 CPG company previously, we would kind of throw the campaigns over the fence. Our agency would tell us what happened. We'd wait 3 months and see what the MMM report said for attribution, after the fact. This is now all happening in real time as these campaigns are running, and you can glean insights about where you should be investing more and which audiences are working, which campaigns are not working, which journeys are producing the most outcomes for you. And the third piece, so we've had in the application for some time AI suggested audiences. We launched this in March of 2023. But what we're able to do now is take those insights that are gleaned from each of the destinations combined with your own enterprise data and inject those into the prompts and the agents that are building these audience suggestions. So now you're getting optimization by default within each of the assets that your teams are creating. So whether they're creating them through our Audience Studio, which is powered by Cortex, which we'll show in a minute here, Snowflake Cortex, which is their AI platform for all of their advanced generative AI models, or if it's something where the system and our agents are creating suggestions for you offline that they present to your team, all of those are infused with your business goals and your business targets by default so that you continuously improve through this loop process. So this is something we're extremely excited about. And we'll show a little bit of some of the features that power the loop today. So the first one I want to show here is suggestions. So this is an offline agent producing suggestions for you based on previous campaigns that you've activated. The second is in the Audience Studio, where you have an open prompt. So marketers work in natural language, right? They have audience briefs for their audiences. They have campaign briefs. You can just insert those in natural language, and the platform will match it to your schemas that exist in Snowflake and build the audiences for you based on the direction that you've given it in terms of goals and your prompts. And this is something that you can even refine by targeting a specific channel. So I only want people who will respond to push notifications or emails. And then you can jump directly back into the interface that Damian showed earlier for review, for editing, refinement, before these ever go live. It's a big growth loop point of view that humans should stay in the loop on this, and AI should start as a tool for your team, move on to be a teammate with the agents, having teams of agents working with your teams. And then, of course, yes, one day the Westworld brain will be making the decisions for us, right? And we'll have to find new ways to add value for our organizations. Thankfully, that day is not today. And we think there's a nice path to making your teams more capable using AI rather than displacing teams with AI. The last piece I want to mention is our native app, which is available on Snowflake. So as I mentioned, a lot of these AI features are powered by Snowflake Cortex and the models that are deployable within Cortex. So what we've built is a native app, and we're the only composable CDP with an AI Snowflake native app that you can just go ahead and activate from the marketplace, from the Snowflake marketplace. And it's built on these Snowflake Cortex models, and Snowflake's constantly adding new models and new capabilities within Cortex to go ahead and take those prompts from your team or the prompts that the agent comes up with on the back end and convert them into these queries that run on your data to build these audiences directly within your environment, right? That's a really important part, is all this can happen within your Snowflake environment. So all the compute's local, and all the data stays there, which is really important for privacy as you think about integrating AI into your organization. And lastly, one of the things that I think is unique about Snowflake is that you can actually transact and pay for these for customers who are approved with consumption drawdown, MCD, marketplace consumption drawdown, which is available in the US to certain customers. And it's something that we've been able to help deploy across customers to drive these features and functionalities more rapidly, so that you don't go from kind of a toy demo that someone's presenting in a presentation to saying, how do I actually get that live within my system? It's how do we get to applied AI soon to drive our value across our different use cases and needs and our surfaces where we're communicating with the customers. So I think that's a really exciting thing that we added this year and we announced a little bit earlier in the year at Snowflake Summit. All right, I'm going to kick it back to Damian to walk us. Let's get to victory lane here with the key takeaways.
Awesome, thank you, Anthony. And yes, just talking through some of the accomplishments that we've had. We've had a multitude of accomplishments over the last couple of years here working with Snowflake and GrowthLoop, but wanted to highlight these three areas in particular. So far this year, we're on pace to make almost 1,900 audiences. And from what we've learned is that every audience that we made, we've saved about 2 hours of work using GrowthLoop's interface. That saves us about 3,800 hours a year. So it's helped us out quite a lot. And we know now that we're no longer writing lines and lines of code, and are able to just quickly QA some of the audiences that we've created and be able to message appropriately to them. We've also seen an amazing drop in opt-outs over this year compared to last year. Second major takeaway is our opt-outs have decreased by almost 15% year over year. This has helped allowed us to grow our email databases, continually to make sure that we have that personalized, relevant messaging for our customers and making sure that they're continuing to stay engaged with our brands and our tracks. And lastly, our click-through rate has increased by 0.5% year over year. Again, more people are interacting with our emails because they are more personalized, they're more real time to folks, and that messaging again is correct for that individual.
All right, thank you, Damian, for walking us through those results, walking us through activating marketing use cases with GrowthLoop and Snowflake. Michelene, thank you so much for walking us through the Data Cloud for Sports with Snowflake and some of the foundational background there. And a big thank you to our audience for joining. Hopefully the results that Damian shared were inspiring to you, just as they were for me. And for the folks who are interested in what I presented around the loop and some of our generative AI capabilities, we'll actually have our Chief Product Officer and co-founder, Chris Sell, and our Director of Customer Experience, Catherine Toll, doing a deep dive on that in our next session. So anyone who's interested, you can return back to the lobby and join the next session to get a deeper dive there. Thanks again, everyone. Really appreciated everyone's time today, and I hope to connect with you at some time soon.